Hi there, welcome to Boxpred. I'm going to be giving my brief prediction here on the upcoming domestic fight here in the UK between Sam Sexton and Larry Olubamiwo. These are both heavyweight guys, both sort of have been contenders in the past, at the top of the sort of domestic scene against the sort of upper echelons of our domestic heavyweight scene here in the UK. Both guys have lost twice. Sam Sexton lost twice by stoppage to Derek Chisora, who, as we know, has gone on now and gained a world title shot against Vitaly Klitschko. And Larry Olubamiwo has lost on points earlier in his career with 6 rounds, I think, and then he was stopped in the first round by John McDermott more recently. So both guys have sort of had their ups and downs, but they're coming together now here for what should be quite an exciting fight. It's a bit of a mix of styles. I think if you look at Sam Sexton, he is the better technically of the two. He's a better technical fighter. He has better foot speed and foot movement, and movement in general. I think. He's more coordinated and he looks more natural in the ring than Larry does. And I'm expecting. I think he should use this to his advantage in this fight, and he should use his superior movement and foot speed to sort of keep this on the outside. Sexton also has, in my opinion, a good jab, and what he can do well, and at quite some good speed, is something that I'm quite an advocate of with the heavyweights, is to set up your punches with the jab. I think it's very important in heavyweights, probably more than any other weight division really, for me, because not only does the jab act as a good defense and keep your opponent push back and away from you and away from throwing those big shots, but it's a very good tool for setting up your power hand. And Sexton does this very well. He can give you a nice jab because he's got a good strong jab. He can give you the good stiff jab and then come through very quickly with the right hand. An example of people who do this the best are guys like the Klitschko brothers. They've made a living off it, a number of knockouts they've got from doing just that. And I think that Sexton, should be looking to try and do that in this one. Like I said, I like his jab and his movement. I like Sexton's hand speed. Now Larry, he also has a decent jab, I think. But he doesn't use it to as good effect, I think, as Sexton does. And I think that the power, though, is definitely with Olubamiwo in this fight. He has a far higher knockout percentage. He's like 9 knockouts in 10 victories. And he's basically been relying on that power. He has one punch knockout power, and he's been relying on it. And he went up against John McDermott, and he came up against a durable, tough guy who was willing to just trade with him and get in there and just try and take him out, and he ended up getting stopped himself. I don't think that's Sexton's game. I don't think Sexton is the type of guy who will just rush out and try and do exactly what McDermott did. I think Sexton will be a bit more cautious, and I think he will quite rightly go out behind the jab. And I think that's what I'm expecting Sexton to do: go out behind the jab, use his better coordination and boxing skill, and try and take advantage of Larry's lack of technique and awkward style in a way, because he does get a bit awkward when he's throwing his punches. He leaves himself a bit open. He sometimes forgets how he should hold his hands, and they drop, and there's a lot of technical flaws in Olubamiwo's game basically, and he is I think his hand speed is still quite good in comparison to Sexton's. I think the hand speed is quite equal there, because Larry can throw some good bombs at quite a good pace. But I think the Sexton can try and dictate the pace of this fight with a jab. Now, from my experience, these domestic fights, we had so many in 2011, just great wars, all-out tear-ups. And they do tend to turn into tear-ups quite easily, these domestic fights. And they're very difficult to predict, because literally, where you have maybe world title fights and the guys who are perhaps of a higher skill level or more experienced, you can normally pick out things and have a trust in a certain guy's way he's going to act in the ring, so you can sort of call it. With this one, it's either going to be, for me, I think Sexton either looks for a points victory to dominate behind the jab, throwing those combinations, setting up his punches behind the jab, using his foot movement, and varying his punches to keep sort of Larry off balance and to just dictate the pace of the fight, to keep Larry away from him, basically, because he wants to keep away from those bombs. And I think that it's either that Sexton's going to do that and he's going to win a points decision, or Olubamiwo is going to get to him. And I'm not sure how Sexton's going to react when he feels, Larry's power for the first time, because he did lose to he was stopped by Derek Chisora, who was more of an accumulative puncher, but Larry Olubamiwo has more power, more devastating one-punch knockout power, so he could only take one punch. But I think I'm going to go with Sam Sexton on this one. I think he can win a decision in this. I think both guys might get really tired, particularly as the fight goes on towards the latter rounds, and it could become a sort of hugging contest. But I think that Sexton will do enough to win on points. As long as he keeps away from Olubamiwo with that jab, he should be okay in this one. I think the better technical boxer is going to beat the more powerful boxer, basically. But yeah, it should be quite a good fight. It's the domestic fights here in the UK. They always can turn into great fights, and two, quite a good contrasting styles. So I'm going to end it there. Please let me know what you guys think, and enjoy the fight. Thanks for watching. This is Boxbread, and I'm out.